Creating something and sharing it with the world is easier than ever with websites such as this one.
Alright, so here we are, one of the elephants.
They can be consumed by millions, sometimes even billions. Today we are focused on a small handful of people that would have a lasting effect on YouTube and victims of their attacks. I'll be showing you today the most disturbing fans of YouTube.
Ask for it by name. Andre the Giant, the greatest wrestler that ever lived.
For those who remember the heyday of game coverage in the late 2000s and early 2010s will most likely be no stranger to our first channel, Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb was and still is a video game review website. However, that might be narrowing them down quite a bit. To give a brief history to add context to our story, let's travel back to 2007. Jeff Gersman, at the time, was a reviewer and employed at GameSpot. This would soon change. Jeff was approached to make a review for the game Kane and Lynch. This one review would go on to essentially be the catalyst for the creation of Giant Bomb as a website. Because of the aftermath of the review, Square Enix, the publisher of the game, Kane and Lynch, would do what was customary at the time and spend a large amount of money, turning the GameSpot website into something that represented a Kane and Lynch ad. Despite this, Jeff felt the need to fully speak his mind on the game, which, well, let's listen to some highlights.
Lynch Dead Men is an ugly, ugly game. That's not necessarily me talking just about the graphics. It's got a really ugly storyline with characters that are impossible to like. The story gets really convoluted, and about halfway through it turns into a revenge saga, but it's impossible to care about anything that's going on in the story because every single character in the game is almost completely unlikable. There's no one to root for here, not even in like a cool anti-hero sort of way. You're just left with a bunch of really ugly characters that just become impossible to care about over time. The dialogue's not particularly great, the voice acting's not bad, but really the problem is that every third word out of every character's mouth is the F word. It's not a big problem. The F word, it's great when properly used, but here it's just so done to death. The cutscenes are permeated with it. It just becomes a real crutch and really stands out as just kind of lazy.
Square Enix had just given them a large sum of money to promote the game. This was a way that companies could try to butter up publications at the time, which would lead to a favorable review. This was not the case. Jeff would be fired shortly after, and then the video review would be deleted. Jeff, and with the help of his friend, Ryan Davis, would begin a company and podcast that would go on to become competition to GameSpot and many other video game websites and publications in the coming years. Jeff would slowly gain a whole host of other people to work on this site, with Ryan Davis, Brad Shoemaker, Vinny Caravella, Drew Scanlon, and for the conversation, Dan Reichert and Jason A. Stryker would come to be a part of the crew as well. For the sake of brevity, they would become somewhat of a large community on the internet. Giant Bomb would host a forum and wiki that would allow users to edit, upload, and create wiki pages and threads. This would allow many to start interacting with each other and Giant Bomb's staff themselves. They began hosting video for a number of things on their website. They were one of the first game sites to really bank on personalities, and this would lead to people becoming fans of the crew themselves over the years.
And remember, baby, no Russian.
This leads us to our first video. Giant Bomb, as they grew bigger, would begin to accumulate fans who wanted to show their gratitude. This would lead to a series of videos called Mailbag. Many of these would be the crew at their offices opening up packages from the P.O. box they kept. They would film each other opening them up and their reactions to such gifts. This video I'm showing you, seemingly on the surface, is just as any other mailbag would occur. This, unfortunately, isn't the case. On February 4th, 2015, Giant Bomb would receive some fan mail that was more disturbing than you might think. Let's watch.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hi.
Gonna do mailbag?
Looks like you've got some stuff, yeah.
I do. Let's see what we got here. We got from Tiffany Wynn from North Brunswick, New Jersey. Let's see what we got here. Oh, did the thing where I ripped the note as I'm opening the thing. I'll open those later.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I've got some boxes.
What you got?
I don't know what any of these are. Let's start with this one.
Whoa.
Oh God.
Get into collecting old boom boxes.
Yeah. This is the Star Wars symbol and some Auerbesh writing. That's right.
Totally.
Okay. Okay, I'm coming back to that.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh God, what is all this?
It's your UFP command insignia and a costume.
Oh my
Holy.
God. Are you serious? Jesus. Oh my God. I just realized what that was. Oh shit. Drew, this is a hell of a thing.
That's a sweatshirt.
That's pretty cool.
That is an amazing sweatshirt. Brad would lose his mind, but he is sick today or something. Dan, I'm gonna allow you this bag.
Oh Lord. This is cool.
Oh my God.
Gray Fox.
Oh my God.
Put him over. I framed the other Gray Fox thing from that other mailbag. I'm up there.
I want to see it.
Yeah, look at that. That's where he belongs.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. Is that a whoopee cushion?
Star Wars hat.
Nice.
That. I feel like these things shouldn't go together.
NC-17 and something.
Yep.
Oh, Gray Fox has a sword.
Someone get married and then have to get rid of a bunch of stuff fast? Yeah. That's gonna take some work. Gray Fox.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Oh boy.
All right. Yep. Yeah.
See that? There's a little gas in this. I guess.
Well,
no, wait, maybe. Oh. It's just CO2 cartridges.
Gray Fox just lost.
5,000 BBs.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
There's a Star Wars insignia on the back of it.
That's awesome.
Makes a lot of sense. Drop it.
All guns are always loaded.
It's true.
Never let the muzzle cover anything you are not willing to destroy.
Absolutely.
Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target.
Uh-huh.
Be sure of your target and what is beyond it. Be aware of the audience around you and how easily they can freak out. Hi, Giant Bomb! Just in case you were already freaking out yourselves, I have not sent you an actual gun.
Bummer.
What I have sent you is an airsoft rifle.
Yes.
Oh, is there a rifle in there too?
I don't think so. I think you just... Yeah. And gear to go with it.
I mean, there's a bunch of magazines in the front of that thing
That's true.
that must go to a rifle.
Maybe. Well, maybe... I got another one here. That's a long one. Much love and beef, Adrian, aka Hyper Aqua Blast on the internet, and Purple Rebel in the field of battle. This one's for you.
What is this? Okay, primary one message from Starfleet Command. Dan, this is Admiral Hyper Aqua Blast at Starfleet Historical Headquarters. This is long. I'll try to give the rundown as I read it. He's at the Starfleet place. They're getting reports from a quadrant that people are losing memory of the Enterprise. Okay. I'm Commander Dan Reichert, and I have to get to the bottom of it. I've been tasked to observe the records related to the major missions of the Enterprise, NCC something, during the Genesis device incident at the Battle of Khitomer. Okay. The individual missions of the Enterprise, something. Engaging, holy lord! Engaging the Borg, because it's a cool guy action movie. Something Vulcans. Okay. I have to be in uniform if I'm going to make visual logs of what I find. So I think he's saying I got to wear that thing if I'm going to watch Star Trek and talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to check out.
Alright.
Alright, thanks, Hyper Aqua Blast.
Soft gun if you can help it.
Packs a goddamn punch. Good lord!
That is...
Oh my...
That is all metal. That is not
Should
a...
I pull the trigger?
There's
No.
nothing... Well...
There's no magazine in it.
Didn't you read or hear the instructions?
I know! That's why I asked. Safety.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow. Dude.
Thank you, Adrian. You're insane. Why would you give this?
Collapsible stock, 4 grip.
This is great stuff.
This is all great stuff. I like this. I might have to start watching Star Trek.
Watching it, nothing seems too out of the ordinary other than perhaps the questionable airsoft gun. It's not until some details about these packages and items came out it would change from being lighthearted to something more gut-wrenching to watch. All of these items belong to one man. His name is Adrian Loya. To fit all the pieces together, we need to learn more about the man behind all of these packages. Adrian was stationed in Kodiak, Alaska, deployed by the Coast Guard.
It's a small island, right? But our AOR runs from Yakutat up all the way over and all of that.
He worked in the IT department at base, so naturally, Adrian enjoyed things often typically labeled as nerdy or geeky. He was obsessed with Star Wars and other sci-fi properties. Adrian also was known to play video games quite a bit. Nothing out of the ordinary for someone his age. His interests and hobbies would bring him closer to a fellow coworker, Lisa Berlinga. The two would begin to become friendly, sharing many things of interest in common. As their relationship bloomed, Lisa was much deeper in another one. Lisa was married. As gay marriage hadn't yet been legalized nationwide, Anna Trubnikova and Lisa Berlinga would get married in New York in 2012. They then would be stationed in Kodiak, Alaska after this. This event would ultimately change their lives. Kodiak being a small rural town with only 6,130 people at the time of the 2010 census. There wasn't much to do other than stay inside. Anna and Adrian would first meet at a bar that many of the people in the IT department frequented on outings outside of work. This would begin their first of many strange contacts over the year that same night. Adrian would go on to remark how he didn't believe in marriage to Lisa while she sat next to her new wife. This and several other occurrences would make tension begin to grow with the couple and Adrian. Lisa believing that Adrian had ulterior motives for their relationship. She wanted to have some distance. This would only bring the two closer one night, where the tension began to boil over into something representing hate and fear. Anna would be sent away on reserve duty for 3 weeks. This allowed Lisa an opportunity that she had not had in quite some time at that point. Some time outside of work with Adrian. Lisa would invite Adrian over to the couple's house in Kodiak off base. The two would watch television together and drink. Well into the night, things would change between the two. Lisa would make an advance on Adrian. Adrian would not take this lightly and began to feel uncomfortable. Lisa reportedly grabbed Adrian by the arm, trying to move things towards the bedroom.
Just come to bed.
From this story, you would unfortunately think that Adrian had been waiting for a moment like this the entire time. However, this would be just a match strike to begin his plan for revenge. Adrian felt after that night that his mind had been broken. Nothing sexual ever occurred between the two, but in Adrian's mind, nothing could be further from the truth.
We're going to conduct an interview with Mr. Last name is
Moya. While I was there, I told her why.
What did you say to her?
I told her, you know, here I am, this is what you did to me 2 years ago.
She didn't get private in you. Just touching you for the level.
So
that's what precipitated from September 9th, 2012 until now. That's kind of been fueling the fire.
Right. Even though it's not physical, it was the, basically a line.
Adrian's mental state began to deteriorate in Kodiak, slowly losing interest in many of the things he had once never been able to get enough of. When Anna would return, he would send her and Lisa an email entitled The Lisa Effect. This Lisa Effect is something Adrian coined. He confessed to her once that the Lisa Effect was her superhuman ability to make him feel good anytime she was around. Anytime he was at work or around her, he felt the effect. This email has never been made public, but from the small amount of evidence we have floating around, the nature of the email was Adrian's attempt to show Anna what Lisa really is in his eyes. To Adrian, Lisa was now a monster. She had the opposite effect on him, and Adrian felt he needed to expose this to her wife. Lisa would apparently delete it before Anna could fully read it, telling her it's full of misinformation. This would lead to a large fallout between the two. If, before this event, things were awkward, the state of their relationship would be an absolute nightmare now. Lisa's side will unfortunately never know. But as for Adrian, he actively hated her and was tortured by it. He would try to report this event to higher-ups in the Coast Guard, but to no avail. They wouldn't take the accusation seriously. The people Adrian would speak to would eventually reprimand them both in the end. They each received a page 7 from the Coast Guard. They differ depending on the context, but a negative page 7 boils down to a small mark on your record, a slap on the wrist, if you will. They were told not to speak to each other and separate. Adrian would find himself being sent to Virginia, while Anna and Lisa would be stationed in Cape Cod. The two would meet only one more time in their life. On Adrian's 31st birthday, February 5th, 2015. Adrian never dropped his obsession with Lisa. It went from one of love and admiration to now wanting her erased from life. In his new home in Chesapeake, Virginia, Adrian's mental state got worse and worse, and he had made his mind up. He wanted revenge. Revenge in his mind for what he felt like was a mighty injustice to him, but in reality was something that could have been discussed, talked about, and put to rest. He would let this boil to a point where he would write that he felt like he was a Jedi and this was his rebellion. He began donning the Rebel Alliance symbol from Star Wars on everything, even online. Adrian made 2 trips to the couple's new home in Cape Cod. The first in October of 2014. He would set up deer cameras around their house and record them, getting ready, as he put it, for his final battle. This is where, in the timeline of events, our video comes in. Adrian had been collecting things for quite some time in his adult life, most of them pertaining to the previously mentioned hobbies he enjoyed. Loya sent these in to Giant Bomb as a way of stripping himself of these things. This was a way of finalizing what he was about to do. To wrap things up, Adrian would break into the couple's home early in the morning of February 5th. He documented all of it on a GoPro. After entering the home of the couple enraged, he would wake them from their slumber. Adrian had been planning this moment for 2 years. He wrote a 256-page manifesto entitled Loya Wars, after Star Wars, of course, that shows how consumed with Lisa he was. They were unaware of his identity until he took the ski mask off that he had donned for his breaking and entering. After realizing who it was, Lisa began to apologize profusely. She wanted to live, and perhaps thought this might appease Adrian. This, unfortunately, was not enough for Loya. He shoots her. The couple, in a moment of noticing Adrian's guard down, rushed to put their mattress in front of their doorway. This would lead to Adrian discharging almost an entire magazine from his pistol into them. He wanted this to be slow and torturous, and in an emotional state began to realize how wrong he truly was. Anna and Lisa lay on the floor and confessed each other's love. One last time. Lisa would pass away after a kiss from Anna. Having already called 911, Anna tried her best to continue to stay lucid. Loya wanted to be finished off by police in a battle. He lit his car on fire as a distraction and was playing Star Wars and other movie soundtracks from a loud speaker. After seeing a silhouette by the car he set ablaze, Adrian would fire, hitting the first officer responding to the scene, Officer Jared McDonald, handicapping him for life. After this, 2 people were wounded and another gone. Loya gave up. His plans had all failed. Adrian Loya was sentenced to life without parole and was found guilty for 29 of the 30 charges brought up against him, including first-degree murder. Anna would live from her injuries and testify against Adrian. Officer Jared McDonald was alive as well. but was forced to leave the police force due to his injuries. In the end, Loya ultimately regretted his choice and will now serve the rest of his life in prison. Giant Bomb would put a statement out later on, Jeff Gersman himself writing it. They ended up giving all of those items back to the police for evidence and wished he would rot in prison for the rest of his life. This is just one example of how people on the internet can get wrapped up in something completely bizarre and horrible. The next may possibly be even worse. December 14th, 2012. The world would change. And for a small internet group making videos out of San Diego, California, they would get a promotion they could never imagine. Our next group that got caught up in a similar mess, self-described cockroaches of the internet, is Mega64. If you've been a longtime fan of theirs from their cult following, you might already know what they're all about. For the uninitiated, Mega64 is a small group of filmmakers from San Diego. They've been making videos and posting them since before YouTube existed. However, when they would post some of their skits on YouTube, they would gain at the time a significant amount of views. Likened to the show Jackass but with video games, Mega64 would do public skits, typically dressed as video game characters, bringing the absurdity to real life. As mentioned, when they would eventually post on YouTube some of the videos from their show they had been making, they would be met with early online virality. Forums and chat rooms were set ablaze with links to their early videos. I personally remember finding out about them in 2009, seeing their Resident Evil 4 video at a friend's house. The small group of friends, Rocco Bodie, Derek Acosta, and Sean Chatfield, have made a small legacy on the internet, having lasted for over 20 years now at this point. So, as one might expect, there is 2 decades worth of lore to unravel here, and honestly could warrant its own video on the things that the group has done or experienced or have had happen to them. Today, the group continues to push out new videos, and their weekly podcast that has been a staple for me and many others for quite some time. They've had a footprint on the internet, and with that, some people are bound to find you. On November 23rd, 2013, Mega64 was alerted on Twitter, now X, that they were involved in a police report. This police report wasn't just some random crime and the fan just happened to own DVDs of Mega64. It was something else. The police report was from Sandy Hook. It was referring to Adam Lanza, the perpetrator of the events, and the contents of his hard drive. December 14th, 2012 would be a day that will be forever remembered by those across the world, but especially for the residents of Newtown, Connecticut. Now, personally, I don't think we have the time to tell the whole story of Sandy Hook to give context to a 10-minute video, plus many other YouTubers and people across the web have covered it much more extensively. However, I think what is much less focused on is Adam, the shooter's life online. Briefly, we'll delve into Adam's life outside of the internet first to create context to his online persona. Adam Lanza was born to Nancy and Peter Lanza, and already had an older brother, Ryan. Peter, being a higher up for General Electric, they were more than set up financially to have another child. After being born in New Hampshire, the family would move to Newtown, Connecticut. Adam would attend Sandy Hook Elementary. His time at school was somewhat tumultuous, and his mother withdrew him at one point to homeschool him. Fast forward to when Adam was at the age of 16 in 2008. This is seemingly when things really start to go wrong. Peter and Nancy have been separated for some time now, Not long after moving to Connecticut, Nancy proposed a divorce in 2008 with his father, and by 2009 it had gone through. After this, Adam would barely attend school. He had already attended elementary through high school and a university all in a small amount of time. The classes Adam would take would end up being skipped, typically with Adam reportedly hanging out in the school library of the university he attended. In this divorce, Nancy would receive alimony roughly to the cost of $240,000 a year. This was more than enough for Nancy and now Adam, who she gained custody of in the divorce. 4 years later, Adam would end his mother's life. The context of the divorce and the small details about Adam's personal life, in my opinion, is required to understand the next 4 years online. This alimony would allow Adam and Nancy freedom from a typical schedule, letting Adam have plenty of time to begin investing online. Adam would have many online usernames: Smiggles, Canebreed, Blarving, Cultural Philistine, Gay for Kimbeer. Those are just naming a few that have been discovered over the years, many of them belonging to various forums, including the Super Columbine Massacre RPG forum, which I've been working on a video on for quite some time. Adam would have a YouTube channel that was recently discovered and had quite a bit of musings on his thoughts on certain subjects.
But I should say that before I start, I'm not a pedophile, I'm not remotely pedophilic, I've never knowingly had any association with anyone who is remotely pedophilic. I have never seen I've never tried to look up child pornography. I have absolutely nothing to do with pedophilia or anything like that. My interest in anti-pedophobia is entirely academic. And if you think that if you've listened to my other videos and by the time that I finish reading this quasi-essay that I'm just trying to justify some latent pedophilia, then I really have nothing to say to you, just flame me or whatever. But I'm just going to start this video, and I should warn you that
YouTube even deleted the account as soon as it was confirmed to be his. Glocktalk.com was another place online found to have Adam within it as well. Adam also used Wikipedia, editing articles for shootings often. Lanza would leave quite a history online, so how did he stumble upon Mega 64? Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the evidence for how he stumbled upon the videos or what videos they were precisely have been found. My speculation on where he found them is most likely a forum. At the time, Mega 64 was pretty popular on somethingawful.com. The group also hosted their own forum, the Mega 60 forums. I checked what I could there as well to see any evidence of Adam's usernames or mention of him after the tragedy. But sadly, that led only to a dead end. As for the video themselves, my thoughts are it most likely being one of the several early viral videos: Resident Evil 4, Assassin's Creed, Metal Gear Solid, or New Super Mario Bros. Adam was also known to enjoy videos featuring puppets. Mega 64 just happened to have a character in their early videos that is a puppet. However, at the end of the day, we can only speculate. This brings us to the Twitter post. The evidence for the event was slowly beginning to trickle out, and in this included a document detailing what Adam had in his possessions, including digitally on one of his hard drives. This discovery would lead us to the involvement of Mega 64. A few days later, Mega64 would do one of their weekly streams. On this stream, Garrett Hunter, a member of the group, would play video games and take Skype calls in the background. A friend of the group, Ryan Reed, or Dr. Ryan as fans refer to him, would call in. This is a shortened version of the call.
Hey, the good doctor is in the house. Mr. Ryan, you're on with us. Hello. We heard the good news that you got your car back.
I got my car back.
With a little extra stuff.
A little extra.
You got bonus.
What'd you get in with your car?
Well, see, before the car had a doctor's bag and a bunch of shirts and all the stuff. Anyway, I have a question, and if you guys don't want to talk about this, that's totally fine. I'll stop. But I don't know if you guys have heard. It was on the forums. Your videos came up on a hard drive of somebody's.
Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Just real quick. I didn't say anything about it on our site, but it is true.
It is true.
Yeah, the guy, Adam Lanza, or whatever his name is, responsible for the Sandy Hook shooting, there were folders of things on his computer, and there was a folder of Mega 64 videos. That's true. I've seen it. It's been in like a bunch of the comments and stuff on our videos. Things
I saw someone on Twitter, like, I guess tried to talk to me about it, but never responded back, and he used an odd wording. Oh, we got a countdown clock.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who linked me to it with no context, and it was like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was crazy. It's not a huge deal. There were lots of things on his computer, but it was weird.
Well, I mean, the guys that did Columbine played the shit out of Doom.
Yeah,
do you think that John Carmack is like, oh, man,
I just...
it's my fault. Like, no.
It's just a bummer that our name is in that story at any point ever. But
I don't think it fucking matters.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, I guess.
That doesn't matter, but the thing I wanted to bring up, it's I've been talking to the doc. He was talking about this, and there's a good thought. This kid lived near PAX East, and this is more just not about you guys and more just about your thoughts. But the fact that it's possible that you could have met that guy, shook his hand.
Huh.
Like, do you ever think about that? That the people that you meet, that they go off, you see them once, and you have these brief interactions with someone that could go off and do something like that. You ever? I don't know. It kind of blew my mind for a second when I thought about it.
The fact that learning about this, especially after game days happened, which was like the most positive thing I'd ever been part of.
Yeah.
Is really like, how. Just goes to show you never know.
You never know who your audience is.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of people have skeletons in their closet, and you meet people. I bet you interact with people every day that have crazy, weird shit going on in their lives that you don't know about.
Yeah, but that I never thought about that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Sandy Hook thing is just like the shittiest, saddest news story ever. So I honestly don't know why they had to release that stuff anyways. Like, what does it benefit anyone to know what's on the computer?
They always,
it always comes out.
Well, obviously they're trying to release the 911 calls, but why would you want to hear that?
People
investigate independently, I guess. I don't know.
It's fucking weird.
Any
holy
case like
naked
that,
zombie.
Public
Yeah.
information after a certain point. But yeah. Anyway,
Holy
so yeah, it is true. Weird seeing that.
Did you see that, Sean? They're naked.
Weird.
And they're everywhere. I'm killing everyone right now.
There you go, Ryan.
Yeah, there you go. He was into Shin Megami Tensei too.
No, that makes me sad because we're doing Persona Week, and now all I have to think about during that is, oh hey, we're playing the same thing as a killer.
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
I mean, people.
He probably watched Sesame Street too.
He probably also likes.
Is that ruined for you?
And there's there's 1,000 things that he likes.
He's probably a Star Wars fan.
I mean, I don't know.
Jeffrey Dahmer was probably a big Star Wars and Lord of the Rings fan too, but like, whatever. I don't think that there's much weight in it at all.
It's just it's weird to think about the way that our paths cross with people. Whatever.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's true.
This is a
But I
different
mean,
call. I apologize.
That's what I'm saying. Is anybody that's standing in line next to you at the grocery store could have 4 girls tied up in their apartment? Yeah, like you don't know people that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. The guy that you go to work with and know, but not on a personal level, might have like a crazy sex dungeon in his bedroom. You don't know that.
But I'm glad you don't need to apologize, Ryan. I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't know. I didn't know, how to bring it up. You know what I mean? I didn't know if I should even at all. But that's totally, that.
It did happen.
Yeah, it did happen. So so I'm glad we got to talk about it for a moment.
A brief second, and we'll move on.
A brief moment in time. God, man, I'm gonna bring the Magnum just in case.
Shortly after the subject is brought up, it's quickly moved past. The group discusses how they feel about being involved and gives their views and go on to another subject. This topic never really gets broached again. Some have speculated on the Mega64 subreddit and in comments that the boys were referring to the incident on episode 500 of their podcast. Derek alludes to being on a list.
No problem. And then Derek has one thing of toothpaste, and they pull him into secondary or whatever, and it happens so often.
Well, the one guy at TSA said,
yeah, they said your
name.
name's on a list. It's who cares? It's not worth talking about. But
I thought he meant your last name's Acosta, and that sounds.
I honestly so it happened years ago. It was like 10 years ago when all that Osama shit was going on, and they said we need extra identification from you. And I was making jokes me and not them. And the guy's like, yeah, your name's on the list. And I thought
nervous,
was it specifically me? Was it Derek D. Acosta?
Or is it just
put on some I don't know.
It's like Brazil just randomly generated here.
Here's the thing.
Or maybe they were like, you messed with people at a Costco once.
Yeah, I don't want to go into it, but I really wondered is Mega 64 on some is the government aware of Mega 64 because of some of the stuff we've done or put online
they're all innocent.
I had a teacher in high school once who said that he was involved with political activism.
And many people have speculated that the reason why they are on such a list is because of this. The videos were found on the hard drive of one of the worst shooting perpetrators in the world. All we can do, again, is speculate. We might never know the official reason. The next creator falls in a similar boat. Labeled in a police report, our next creator is Rusty Cage. Rusty Cage, somewhat of a YouTube pioneer. Creating the channel in 2009, Rusty is hard to pin down as a specific genre of YouTube. Categorizing him as one thing would be understating how much he has done on the channel, mostly making music videos. Rusty also makes sketches, rants, and recently has had a series on his channel on how to make a guillotine. However, most people would come to know him from a certain series of songs that would propel him to viral fame. The Knife Song. The song and the mini songs that would spawn from it would typically feature Rusty Cage playing the game Five Finger Fillet and singing an original song. These would slowly evolve into more and more variations of the song until finally it would culminate into an entire month of versions of the song, ultimately ending the song and series itself from Rusty. Rusty would even win a game show in Germany after the first version of the song was at its height of viral fame. The game show would award him 50,000 euros after a successful win against a German chef. Rusty's Knife Song videos would arguably be the video that would draw an audience to him substantially more than any of his other videos. This will be important going forward. These videos are mentioned in a police report of yet another one of the worst events. the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High, or better known as the Parkland High School shooting. Nicholas Cruz, the shooter at Parkland. This is the body cam footage of the police officers that had apprehended Cruz shortly after he had left the McDonald's.
Demons?
Voices.
Yeah, no problem.
Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices? What the f? Where the f am I? Holy sh! What happened?
Shut up. Just be quiet, man. Shut up.
Cruz had just committed another shooting in Florida, a place that has an unfortunate history with these events. The Parkland High School shooting was covered by the media extensively, to the point where it even launched the career of David Hogg, a former student of the school, now turned gun activist. He and many other students would be prominently featured after the tragic event. Eventually, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High Commission would release a document that covered Cruz's internet search history in the days leading to the event. Giving it a look inside is somewhat unnerving. Cruz's spelling is at a child's level, and the searches range from things like anime to women's Viagra, and many other heinous internet searches. Things I don't recommend looking up either. Nicholas Cruz's internet history is pretty extensively documented, and within that we can see lots of YouTube comments as well, from several accounts. As a quick tangent, we can see the amount of alarming comments that Cruz had left on several accounts. I've blurred quite a few things for the sake of YouTube, but as from what you can see, the amount of comments saying virtually the same alarming statements is baffling. February 14th, 2018, the day the shooting occurred. The search history of that day is just like many of the others. YouTube videos, Wikipedia articles, the same disturbing things Cruz had been accustomed to searching into Google. Blending in with these seemingly innocuous searches is the knife game song. Unfortunately, that is the extent of the reporting as far as Nicholas viewing the video. They do have another page early on in the document showcasing 4 of Rusty Cage's thumbnails for the various versions of the knife game song, with really no context or evidence to prove he actually viewed those specific videos or versions of the knife song. Nicholas Cruz looked up other various subjects and topics, a lot of them leaning more into edgy or controversial or even illegal. Later that day, he would take an Uber to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High with a rifle case and a change of clothes. After changing and being noticed by a member of security, Cruz would find his way into a stairwell. This is where he decided his fate and many others that day. Before constructing and loading his AR-15, a student, Chris McKenna, would find Cruz in the stairwell. Cruz would tell him reportedly,
"Get out of here. Things are about to get bad."
He would flee from the stairwell, and Cruz would begin one of the worst shootings in American history. He would flee the scene, blending in with other children escaping and making his way to a Walmart and purchased a drink inside from the Subway location there. Then he would make his way to McDonald's, where he would ask one of the brothers of a person he had just shot to give him a ride. They did not. He is now in prison after going to trial in 2022. He was given life with no chance of parole. DeSantis, the governor of Florida, that he decided to pass a law that made it so unanimous votes from a jury for the death penalty would be lowered to an 8-4 vote. When these reports were coming out from the MSDHS Commission, Rusty Cage would have this come to his attention. He would make a response video.
A few weeks back, a police report came out documenting the cell phone history of Nicholas Cruz, who, as we all know, is the piece of who shot up Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, killing 17 people. In this police report, they list chronologically Cruz's cell phone search history on the morning leading up to the Shmuel Schmooting. And well, I can tell you that I was quite shocked to find out that my videos were specifically listed. On this official police report from Florida's law enforcement website, it makes clear that Nicholas Cruz was a Knife Game song fan. Are you frickin' kidding me? Look at this fucking loser. He wanted to be so cool. I'm holding my gun in my underwear. Look at my Punisher beanie. You better watch out. What comes next on this police report? In his cell phone search history, this Shmuel Schmooter looked up this. Of course he had to be a Rusty Cage fan. And so here's what they show. They show just a couple of my thumbnails just to show that Nicholas Cruz is into some evil, satanic shit. Just violent, gory stuff. Why did they include this? It's clear that they picked these thumbnails because they knew that these ones looked so bad. And so I think that they purposely selected these ones to make a point. This is just so strange to see that I'm in this police report. But it gets worse than that, as we'll see. Here's some the things he looked up. Pumped Up Kicks, the song. Of course, why wouldn't he have looked up Pumped Up Kicks? And now, before we continue, I have to make perfectly clear that I completely denounce school and school Once again, I'll say it, they are pathetic losers. You're not gonna be idolized, you're gonna be made fun of. But what is this, people? After he watches pornography, what do you think he looked up next? If you guessed the Knife Game song, then you're absolutely correct. What the fuck, man? How do you go from pornography to my videos? Why did not this police report just include Knife Game song along with the previously listed thing, various YouTube shows and video compilations? Isn't the Knife Game song just another YouTube video? But no, of course, they wanted the Knife Game song to stand out because it sounds evil and mind corrupting. So he looks up pornography, watches my Knife Game song, and then he Google searches Parkland, Florida and Parkland, Florida Dollar Tree, followed by school shooter. So it's clear, just to go back and talk about it again. There had been multiple reports to the FBI about Nicholas Cruz, saying that he was a potential risk, perhaps for school shooting or some sort of violent thing, and the FBI ignored it. I'm just blown away that I'm amongst a group of musicians who have made songs that just happen to be favorited by school shooter Nicholas Cruz. And the thing about it is that I feel like now that the police are looking into all of his data and stuff, am I on a list now? Am I gonna be put on a list where the FBI are watching me or monitoring my content? I mean, already it's obvious that YouTube kind of doesn't really like any of the videos that I'm putting out, but now my content is officially connected to a school shooter. I guess next time I try to get on an airplane, I'll see if they have to stop me or something, if they want to search my bags to make sure I'm also not a school shooter, which I'm not. I don't know. I just don't know what to think about it. A lot of people have seen the Knife Game song, so of course, eventually, someone that ends up causing a tragedy will have consumed my content. But there you have it. That's Nicholas Cruz's cell phone search history. And if anyone is thinking about idolizing the f***ing loser that is Nicholas Cruz, or any school shooter, please seek help.
This video would echo the same sentiment as mentioned before about the evidence being presented in the document. Were these videos he watched or just picked because they had the edgiest thumbnails? I don't think there is any doubt Nicholas Cruz would enjoy something such as the Knife song, and that he definitely did listen to it. But with there being so many different versions of the song, it's hard to point out which ones were the ones he would go on to watch. Nonetheless, being involved in such a report, regardless of the evidence, shown or not, is, I'm sure, a horrible feeling. Our last and final YouTuber and tragic event were heard around the world almost immediately, and were deeply tied to each other from the beginning of the coverage of it in the media. Our last perpetrator would use arguably one of the most famous YouTubers as a way to get his message heard around the world. Our last YouTuber is PewDiePie.
started. Remember, lads, subscribe to PewDiePie.
It's likely to assume if you're watching this, you have some working knowledge of PewDiePie or Felix Schellberg and his channel. Essentially being the face of YouTube for most of the platform's short life, getting into several controversies during that time. So if you are familiar with this channel, then you most likely already know what I might be going to talk about. But if not in that case, let's do a small YouTube history lesson and talk about the biggest YouTube feud, PewDiePie versus T-Series. I won't give you all the details to this large feud. It is rather extensive and has quite a few events in and of itself that would need a level of explanation as well. So we'll cover some basic details. In 2018, PewDiePie would make a video on his Y series that would talk about how a channel in India that hosted music videos named T-Series was rapidly growing and going on to become the most subscribed to channel in YouTube history. Felix would make a call to action in this video, essentially asking all of YouTube to help him stop this and keep him the most subscribed to channel. This feud would continue on for some months with many efforts to stop the growth of T-Series from happening. However, the biggest campaign to come out of all of this was simply the Subscribe to PewDiePie campaign. Many people distilled the message to its simplest form. Several YouTubers would also try to gain popularity and help spread the message as well, including a young Mr. Beast, making a video where he paid for advertisements to go up that called for people to subscribe to PewDiePie. It would essentially go on to become a meme, slowly turning and morphing into something that would become more sinister in nature, with allegations of racism and anti-Semitism being attached to the movement.
This idea, you are promoting ignorance, racism, genocide, anti-Semitism. These are all things that you are putting forward when you are doing anything that promotes PewDiePie.
PewDiePie would release Bitch Lasagna as a diss track against T-Series that would later be banned in India for what they felt were remarks that could spark racism against Indians. Another event would tarnish the meme before it would end was the phrase being graffitied on a World War II memorial in Brooklyn, New York. Two events would simultaneously occur in the span of 1 week that would end the Subscribe to PewDiePie meme. Brenton Tarrant, the 28-year-old Australian who would commit the worst mass violence event in New Zealand. He would livestream the event in the hope of getting as many people to see the horror of what he was about to do. In the beginning, he was getting ready, about to drive, and then Tarrant was fueled by extreme race-related motivations and a frequent user of the internet. The place he had posted his live stream of Facebook right before it went up was none other than 8chan. He released a manifesto of his theories of race replacement and cited many of the reasons why he would go on to commit the shooting was motivated heavily by these theories. Tarrant would receive a large inheritance from his father passing away. This would lead Tarrant to travel, experiencing the world outside of Australia, even visiting North Korea. In his manifesto, he claims to have seen many things in his travels that fueled a rage. When he settled in New Zealand in 2017, he began to prepare for an attack of some kind, not settling completely on the details. He would make one last cross-country trip to Croatia, Romania, Hungary, Turkey, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. The travel expenses and getting ready for a terror attack were beginning to deplete all the money he had. He mentioned briefly to his sister that he was thinking of, and others that he would move to Ukraine. He estimated he would be out of money in August of 2019, leading to the March 2019 date of his attack. Tarrant's entire lead up to his attack could be an entire subject itself. There is much more I could not cover simply due to YouTube guidelines, and honestly, his message isn't something I even have interest in talking about. This one instance, however, would once again get PewDiePie in controversy. Brenton Tarrant would go on trial and receive 52 consecutive life sentences, plus another 480 years added to his sentence as well. Brenton Tarrant will have to serve nearly 2,000 years in prison currently. The real reason he mentioned PewDiePie directly has never been truly stated, but many speculate it was for media attention, as it was an extremely relevant topic at the time, or just for the simple fact that Brenton Tarrant just thought it would be funny to mention the meme. As for PewDiePie, this would be another story. Felix's channel would be surpassed the next day, March 20th, 2019. This passing of subscriber growth and the shooting would prompt PewDiePie to end the subscribe to PewDiePie meme and make yet another unfortunate response video.
Hello, I wanted to talk seriously and honestly for a moment about my thoughts on what's been going on for the past couple months, and hopefully you can get a better understanding of my perspective. I think it's time to end the subscribe to PewDiePie movement or meme. It's something that started off as a way to keep me as the #1 most subscribed channel on YouTube, and seeing so many people come to my support, other creators as well, has been incredibly humbling to me. It's really meant a lot. It's something I never thought I would experience, and it's something I thought would last also for maybe just a couple of days or maybe a week, but here we are. It's been 6 to 7 months now, and it's been a crazy journey. At first, it started off with people doing really positive and fun things to get attention through subscribe to PewDiePie. But something I learned, and I think hopefully it's something people can understand, is when you have 90 million people riled up about something, you're bound to get a few degenerates. And it started off with someone spray painting sub to PewDiePie on a World War II memorial, and just so disgusting, so disappointing to have my name and community dragged into that. I addressed it on Twitter, I disavowed it. We saw that it got removed and donated to the park. Hoped that that was going to be it. I didn't want hateful acts to overpower all these amazing things that people were doing, all these cool and positive things. But then something happened that I don't think anyone would have predicted. The Christchurch shooter said subscribe to PewDiePie. Out of the respect for the families and victims involved, I chose not to address it any further than on Twitter, where I disavowed the actions taken that day, and I gave my sincerest condolences to everyone affected. To have my name associated with something so unspeakably vile has affected me in more ways than I let shown. I just didn't want to address it right away, and I didn't want to give the terrorists any more attention. I didn't want to make it about me, because I don't think it has anything to do with me. To put it plainly, I didn't want hate to win, but it's clear to me now the subscribe to PewDiePie movement should have ended then. Lastly, my feelings around
this would ultimately conclude the entire event. And since then, PewDiePie now lives somewhat of a peaceful life online and uploads much less frequently than in the past. This last event will conclude the video as well. As of writing this, the 2024 shooting in Georgia is still being wrapped up currently. This is to say that unfortunately, I could see making a video on this subject in the future quite easy with the amount of evidence that continues to pour out about these perpetrators. With that being said, if you made it this far, please make sure to tell your loved ones, I love you, and stay safe. If you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe and like the video if you've enjoyed it and would like to view more content from me. This has been Jesse from Plasmablack. Stay safe, everyone.